Just want to jump on here and talk you through my deadlift session. Week 2, I go a little bit off plan, just with a little bit of warming up, just movement flow, just prepping my body a little bit differently. Just want to teach you that as much as there's a set plan, it is okay to go off plan a little bit if you're feeling stiff, you feel like you need an extra warm up, you feel like you need some extra motion, just so that your body feels warm, ready for the session. So I started off and went 10-minute AMRAP, 50 single unders, 15 med ball slams, 20 lunges with a thoracic rotation, and then I went 150 double unders unbroken just to get my heart rate raised. Then I went into this mountain climber stretch, which was really nice. So to make it a little bit harder, I use a wedge on my front foot. Just go 5 with a bent leg and then 5 thoracic rotations with a straight leg. And I find this is a nice stretch for a bit of external rotation. And then just go into some unplanned like movement flow. So just trying to find stiff parts of my body, try and open them up. My back felt a little bit stiff, my ankles felt a little bit stiff, just felt a bit stiffer in general. I've upped my carbs, I'm trying to eat in a surplus, and sometimes I can just feel it just makes me feel a little bit more inflamed, a little bit stiffer. So I just spent a little bit longer warming up, felt good by the time I finished this. It actually meant that I had barely spent any time messing around with a barbell before I went into my power cleans, which was nice. Once I got this done, I went into some like hip stability work, just with the increased amount of running I'm doing. Sometimes I've had injuries in the past where my like perineals and around my ankles start to play up. So I just want to make sure my hip stability is good, as well as my ankle stability. So I've done a few different exercises for them. You can see them in a second. And then just a bit more thoracic movement here, as you can see. A bit boring, but is what it is. This is what it takes to get better sometimes. You've just got to take your time warming up so that you feel good for the heavy bits. You don't want to get to the heavy bits and then feel like, fucking hell, I wish I did this before. So I always, as the weights start getting heavier, I always spend a lot more time prepping my body, because I just find I don't want any negative thoughts prior, like, oh, this feels stiff, or this doesn't feel activated, blah, 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 blah. So now I went into some resisted side flexion. So I find these really nice to warm up my obliques. So I just do 10-second hold each side. That's the 32 kilo kettlebell with a green band. So it just bounces around a little bit. And then I just go into these marches. I did 3 sets, 10 seconds each side, and then 20 marches. Did that both sides. That is a great exercise. I supersetted that with some side plank reverse flies, which is an anti-rotation exercise. So as that dumbbell comes down, it wants to pull you forward, so you're resisting that. I also add a little bit of a wrist stretch by making my hand face backwards as I'm doing them. Then I went into some Kosak squats. I just did 16 each side, just to open up my hips a little bit, because again, it's just everything's feeling a little bit tighter for some reason. And then I went into these single leg stability exercises where I went 16 each side again. And then to finish that all off, I did 3 rounds of this with 5 heavy med ball slams, just to keep me awake and make me feel like I'm not standing still, because those exercises can get a little bit tedious and boring. And then went downstairs and got into some power cleans. So low hang power cleans to start, same as last week. Just a couple sets of 3 building up, 70, 100, and then 120. 2 sets of 3 I did at 120, and then 2 sets of 3 at 125. And then all I'm going to do next week, you'll see. I've got a loose plan, but like I say to anyone on all my athletes that I program for, we're fluid with our periodization approach. So that means if there's certain things that come up, it can always be changed, or it can be manipulated to how your body's feeling. So I give them a rough kind of guide, and then if the weights are feeling extremely heavy, they just go a little bit lighter, or if it's feeling extremely light some days, you can go a little bit heavier. And that's just the way it goes. We're not professional athletes. There's a loose plan, but part of being fluid with your periodization is you can allow for a little bit of adaptation. So this is I think my first or second set of 3. I can't remember which one video included, but Nice and steady, went pretty nice. Wrists, elbows felt good today. Final set at 125. Didn't have much rest between these, so I could get into my deadlifts. And the whole session took me about 75 minutes, which is pretty good. So the 45 minutes warming up, and then I burnt through the lifting stuff as quick as I could. Then moved into some deadlifts now. So I didn't use my wraps today because I just didn't like them last week. I've been trying to use the wraps to save my grip because I keep forgetting chalk. There's some chalk in the garage, but I keep bloody forgetting it. So just did one set of 3 at 120 with the obviously 20 kg plate deficit, then one set of 2, and then it's 2 sets of 3 at 190. And you can see the position on these actually looks better already, so I'm able to get my back tighter. Feels like my hips are scooping through nice as well. Felt like I had good power on these actually. Happy. 190 moved well. This is my second set. So 2 sets of 3 at 190. All moved well. Another good set. Not too bad. I probably could play with my head position, but I like my head position being back from all the weightlifting training I've done. I know a lot of deadlifters like to have a neutral head when they deadlift, but I don't really get on with it. Then I went into 2 sets of 3 at 210 without the deficit. Now this felt hard, that first set. Just the pause after the pause it feels minging, and some of my pauses weren't the best. And this is my second set. I paused a little bit better on these ones. They look better, but it's just one of those. This is the plan. Keep to the plan. 2 more weeks of these pauses, building the weights up slightly each week, so that when I retest my 5 rep max and it doesn't write me off for a few days after, which it probably will anyway, no matter, but I'm just doing some heavy rack pulls just to get my upper back used to that weight. So I just went up to 270, did a steady double to finish off, because it's strange. It's like whenever I go for a max and I lose any upper back extension with that kind of weight, it makes me sore for weeks after. So to finish off anyway, some grip work, 3 sets of 30 seconds, 120, no hook grip, no nothing. And then I finished off with 3 sets of 20 hamstring curls. Thanks again for watching. I hope your training's all going well.